Thank you for watching our video series on Diffusion of Innovations. In this first video, we will discuss the theory of diffusion, which guides the OCT group's research. Before we dive in, let's talk about what diffusion is. The word diffusion refers to something spreading. For instance, think of when you add a drop of food coloring to a glass of water. The colored drop disperses into the clear liquid. Eventually, the clear water changes color through the diffusion of a single drop of food coloring. Other metaphors for describing the spreading of something new in a system include the ripple effect and the domino effect. Which metaphor best helps you imagine diffusion? Similarly, in our research, we define diffusion as the communication processes and interactions that spread an innovation. Much like the coloring in water, a product or idea organically spreads through a network within a social system over time. This social system can be an organization, community, or other population of people. Diffusion of Innovations theory was developed by the late Everett Rogers. In the late 1940s, he came across a study by two researchers, Ryan and Gross, who looked at how interpersonal communication and the news media influenced farmers to use hybrid corn seed in Iowa. They found that individual adoptions followed an S-shaped curve. A small number of people were quick to experiment with the new type of seeds before everyone started using it, until the cumulative adoption tapered off over time. Rogers expanded on this observation along with a series of similar studies, which he termed Diffusion of Innovations. It became widely supported by evidence in medicine and marketing, because it also modeled the spread of medical technologies in hospitals and consumer goods in the marketplace. Now think of the iPhone. Remember when the first iPhone was released? You probably heard about it from a news story or a friend. Maybe one friend told you about their new phone and its cool features. Then another friend got a phone and you heard about it again. Over time, you were likely influenced by the organic interactions and informal conversations with your friends to consider getting an iPhone too, besides hearing about it in the news. This individual decision to accept or reject an innovation is called adoption. Although you may not have been aware of it, your decision to adopt an innovation was influenced by hearing about it through your friends besides the news media. Individual adoptions then lead to systemic diffusion. What's more, Rogers found evidence that there are different types of adopters. He called the first adopters innovators. This label does not mean that they innovated and developed the technology. Instead, it means that they are very innovative in their thinking. Think of innovators as the first on their block to buy a new product or use a new idea. Their natural innovativeness allows them to be the first to experiment with a new product. Then come the early adopters and the mainstream majority. For every innovation, there will always be the latecomers and also the skeptics who actively resist the new technology. Which do you think describes you? In our research team, we study organizations where products or behaviors spread from the pioneering group of users to other adopters. Specifically, the OCT group looks at how cyber infrastructure, which we talked about in the first video in our first series, can be seen as an innovation that diffuses from innovators to other users within the scientific community. The more scientists adopt the innovation of cyber infrastructure, the better their collective scientific output will be. In this way, principles of adoption and diffusion can help scientists understand how to build and promote cyber infrastructure to tackle grand challenges of science nationally or even globally. While adoption is often discussed as the key stage of diffusion, we broadly conceptualize diffusion as also involving other stages such as cyber infrastructure design, development, implementation, and adaptation. We will discuss these stages in a future video. Stay tuned for our next videos, which will discuss innovation attributes and networks. The OCT group has also written several articles and posters about diffusion. For more information on our research, please follow this link.